Hello, this is the Midday News, bringing you the top developing news stories at the top of 1. First up, the headlines. Rajya Sabha adjourned for the day amid protests by Tamil Nadu MPs over the issue of Kaveri Management Board formation. Over 40 retiring MPs of the upper house denied opportunity to make farewell speeches. Chairman's repeated appeals that prestige of the House is at stake goes unheard. Government appeals cooperation from members to allow House to function. Leader of opposition 2 states they want House to run. Single-phase election for Karnataka Assembly to be held on 12th of May. Results for poll to 224-member House on 15th of May. Model code of conduct in place in the state. Khap panchayats cannot interfere in marriages of 2 consenting adults, says Supreme Court. Terms absolutely illegal. Lays down guidelines to prevent such intrusions till Parliament enacts law against it. And in a coordinated response, over 20 countries expel more than 100 Russian diplomats. Largest collective expulsion of Russian officials over poisoning of its former spy in the UK. The Rajya Sabha has been adjourned for the day yet again today. The stalemate continued on the 4th week of the ongoing second part of the budget session in the upper house. After papers were laid on the table and statement made by ministers, Chairman announced that the members were retiring, but protests continued in the House with the members raising slogans and placards on the constitution of Kaveri Management Board. The Chairman warned AIA, DMK and TDP members to go back to their seats, but the protests continued, leading to adjournment of the House for 15 minutes. The Chairman also summoned the Leader of House and Leader of Opposition in the House to his chamber.
Are we so helpless?
Sir, we are in favor of the House should function. बहुत सारे हमारे सीनियर जो मेंबर्स हैं वो और बहुत सारे लोग जिन्होंने 6 साल तक राज्यसभा के अंदर सर्व किया है, राज्यसभा में अपना योगदान दिया है, वो रिटायर हो रहे हैं। तो ऐसे के अंदर सभी पार्टियों को चाहिए और खास तौर से जो लोग वेल में आए हैं कि आज उनका फेयरवेल है तो वो कम से कम अपने अनुभव और अपनी यादें रखना चाहेंगे तो उनको वे रखने दें। सरकार के पास भी बहुत काम काज है, अगर आपके पास कोई विषय है तो सरकार उस पर चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार है।
Very wrong, very wrong, very wrong, very wrong, totally undemocratic, unbecoming of the members of Parliament. Please don't do this. You are not going to be helped in any way by this sort of shouting and showing of these placards. Your cause is not getting any strength. You are weakening your cause. If at all you have a cause, you are weakening your cause.
And later on, as the House reassembled, the Chairman appealed to all the parties to allow the functioning of the House, as today the House had to bid goodbye to over 40 retiring MPs, but amid continuing protests and MPs demanding a solution to the Kaveri issue from the Prime Minister, the Chairman adjourned the House until tomorrow.
I have 2 options. I want to take the House into confidence. 1, name the members, take action. The second, please, they want it. He's saying also on record. Underline. Second is to adjourn the House and deprive the members of this. There are 2 ways. In a parliamentary democracy, you talk out, protest, walk out. That's also parliament democracy. That's also parliament democracy. That happened number of times. Even all of us have done it also. The House stands adjourned to meet at 11 a.m. tomorrow, 28th. I am sorry to say this. That's the situation. By tomorrow, if things do not improve, then we'll see.
Right, my colleague Kriti Mishra is now joining us live from Parliament. Kriti, well, yet another day, but script remains the same. Rajya Sabha adjourned till Wednesday, and Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu saying that he was sorry to adjourn the House, but said that he had no other option.
Well, Aishwarya, that's right. There was no respite even today as the disruptions continued unabated. So first, the House was adjourned for 15 minutes when TDP members and a Congress member, KVP Ramchandra Rao, protested over the issue of special category status to Andhra Pradesh, as well as the AIADMK members protested demanding a constitution of Kaveri Water Management Board. In fact, while adjourning the House for 15 minutes, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu urged the leaders of political parties to meet him in the chamber. When the House reassembled, there was some semblance of normalcy because the TDP members as well as the Congress member KVP Ramchandra Rao relented. But the AIADMK members rose on their feet demanding constitution of Kaveri Water Management Board and demanding answers from Prime Minister. But Chairman made fervent appeals. He made fervent appeals to these members to allow the House to function so that the House could bid adieu to the retiring members. So all the members, their contribution to parliamentary democracy could be hailed and they can also share their experiences. But as the AIADMK members refused, in fact, the AIADMK members did not even pay heed to the request of the parliamentary MOS Parliamentary Affairs Vijay Goyal. He assured the House that all the issues raised by the members would be taken up after the House bids goodbye to the retiring members. But of course there was no respite. So as they continued to be on their feet in the House, and the chairman did not want to put out a wrong precedent, so of course the chairman adjourned the House till Wednesday. Aishwarya? Right,
Kriti, you stay with us. We'll just come back to you because we need to also talk about Lok Sabha. Well, the lower house also was adjourned for the day amid protests and notices for no confidence by the Congress, YSR Congress, TDP and the CPIM could not be taken up by Speaker as the House was not in order. Earlier, when the House was adjourned till noon, Speaker Sumitra Mahajan held a meeting with the political parties as efforts to break the logjam. The government said that it was ready to hold talks on all issues. The Congress said that they want the no-confidence motions to be taken up. Let's go back to Kriti. Kriti, Lok Sabha also adjourned for the day due to disruptions, and we understand that, Speaker Sumitra Mahajan today reached out to the leaders of different political parties. In fact, sources also saying that she may hold a all-party meeting to break the logjam in the House. What more details can you tell us?
Well, Aishwarya, remember for the entire budget session, around 28 bills were expected to be taken up by the Lok Sabha, but we've seen continuing disruptions even in the lower house. So the stalemate was far from over even today, and no confidence motion could not be taken up. In fact, Speaker of Lok Sabha reached out to different leaders of political parties, and this was an attempt to break the deadlock. Of course, we're hearing that an all-party meet may also be convened so that whatever time is left for the second half of the budget session, that could be utilized and the session could turn out to be productive. So, of course, the no-confidence motion could not be taken up. Remember, on earlier occasions also, Speaker Sumitra Mahajan has said that it was a constitutional responsibility to take up the no-confidence motion given by the members. But remember, for any no-confidence motion, the support of 50 lawmakers or legislators is needed, and when the House is not in order, amid din, the head count is not possible. So, of course, no-confidence motion could not be taken up yet again. Aishwarya?
Right, Kriti. Thank you so much for all those updates there from Parliament. Let's get to some other news now. The Karnataka Assembly polls will be held on 12th of May and the votes will be counted on 15th of May. Chief Election Commissioner O.P. Rawat announced that there will be a single-phase election for the 224-member Assembly. The notification for the polls will be issued on 17th of April and the last date for the filing of nominations will be 24th of April. The scrutiny of nominations will take place on 25th of April and 27th April will be the last day for the withdrawal of candidates. All electronic voting machines will be linked to the voter verifiable paper auditor trail machines in the state polls, and the model code of conduct is now in force in the state following the announcement. The fight in the state is between the ruling Congress, BJP and the JDS.
Date of issue of notification 17th April 2018. It is a single phase election because when Commission visited Karnataka, almost all the parties were of the view that it should be a single phase election, and therefore, keeping in view their demand, it is single phase election with notification on 17th April 2018. Last date of nominations 24th April 2018. Date of scrutiny of nominations 25th April 2018. Last date for withdrawal of candidatures is 27th April 2018. Now your issue comes. Date of poll is 12th May. Yeah. Date of counting is 15th May.
All right, my colleague Panchanan Mishra is now joining us live from the national capital. Panchanan, of course, countdown to the Karnataka polls really has begun with the announcement of dates for the elections. And of course, VVPAT machines are going to be used in, throughout the state, and there are also efforts being made to, have more and more women in the polling stations. What were the other key announcements made by the Election Commission today?
Yeah, sure. As Election Commission announced that Karnataka will go on poll on 12th of May and the counting will be on 15th. And also with this, Election Commission has made many arrangements, especially for Divyangs, because the theme of this election, this year's the whole year will be accessible elections. So the special focus is on Divyangs and also women. The Election Commission has announced that there will be 5 women-centric polling booths in every urban constituency and 1 totally women booth in rural constituencies. So special focus on women's also, and the security will be made because the Election Commission given a major thrust on the security issue previously in Karnataka. So this time they are looking more cautious, and the paramilitary forces, apart from paramilitary forces, other state police will also be called in this Karnataka Assembly elections. And as far as the issues in the Karnataka is the prominent, the issue of Lingayats and Shaiv Lingayat, that's looking very prominent. And when the question was asked about the issues of the religion in election, the Election Commission had assured that if there is any inappropriate, then it will be considered for action. And also the farmers issue and the issue of Kaveri and water is also a prominent issue in this Karnataka election. So there are many elections, and before this announcement came from Election Commission, we have seen that since months all the leaders of major political parties, BJP and Congress, are camping in Karnataka for the campaigning. So it certainly is a very crucial election for BJP and Congress both, and for particularly Congress, because they have only Congress government in 3 states, and Karnataka is crucial. If they lost Karnataka, then they will be retained only in Mizoram and Punjab. So it's very crucial for Congress also. So it may be considered a very big and crucial election for both the political parties.
Absolutely. And countdown to the poll, of course, has begun with the announcement of the dates today. And of course, this election will also set the tone for 2019 general elections. Thank you so much, Panchanan, for all those updates there. And with that, we'll take a very short break right now. We'll be back with more news.
One of the greatest exponents of Carnatic music, MS Subbulakshmi, or MS to her fans. An icon even to a younger generation brought up on fusion and rock music. MS is the first musician ever to be awarded the Bharat Ratna, also the first Indian musician to receive the Raymond Magsaysay Award. As India's cultural ambassador, she also performed at the UN General Assembly in 1966. Former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru once said of MS, "Who am I, a mere Prime Minister, before a queen of music?"
Welcome back after the break. The Supreme Court has termed as absolutely illegal the interference by illegal assemblies like car panchayats in the marriages of two consenting adults. The top court also laid down the guidelines to prevent such intrusions. So the apex court also said that its order would remain in force till a suitable legislation is enacted by Parliament. The apex court ruling came on a plea by NGO Shakti Vahini. The plea was moved in 2010 seeking the protection of couples from honor killings. While reserving its verdict in March this year, the court had observed that when two consenting adults get married, irrespective of their background, no relative or a third person can interfere or threaten or unleash violence against them. And the apex court had also asked the car panchayats not to behave like conscience keepers of the society and said that a marriage between two adults was governed by the law. Let's get to some other news now. A co-owner of Mumbai's Kamala Mills today withdrew from the Supreme Court the plea against his arrest in the case related to the fire tragedy that claimed 14 lives in December last year. The co-owner Ravi Surajmal Bhandari withdrew his habeas corpus petition after a bench asked him to approach the court to seek bail. Bhandari had claimed in his plea that he cannot be held liable for the fire tragedy and had termed his arrest as illegal detention. In December last year, 14 people were killed and several others were injured when a fire broke out in a pub at the Kamala Mill compound in central Mumbai. On to some political news. In an attempt to stitch an alliance for the 2019 Lok Sabha polls, NCP chief Sharad Pawar has invited opposition parties for dinner at his residence today. Sharad Pawar's dinner comes days after Sonia Gandhi hosted opposition leaders for dinner. Trinamool Party President Mamata Banerjee, who had sent a representative to attend a dinner hosted by Sonia Gandhi, will be present at this meeting today. At the dinner hosted by Sonia Gandhi, leaders of SP, BSP, JMM, DMK, RLD, CPI among others were present. And earlier this week, Sharad Pawar had said that his party would form an alliance with the like-minded parties in the next Lok Sabha as well as the Maharashtra Assembly elections.
दिल्ली तो हिंदुस्तान में ही है, तो कभी-कभी पार्लियामेंट जब चलता है हमारा परंपरा होता है, हमारे एमपी लोगों का साथ मीट करते हैं। बहुत सारे जान पहचान पॉलिटिकल लीडर भी दिल्ली में रहते हैं, तो उसका साथ में भी मुलाकात होता है इसी के लिए।
And days after the Union Cabinet gave approval to Ayushman Bharat, the Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare, JP Nadda, told Rajya Sabha television in an exclusive interview that the government was ready for the rollout of the healthcare program by July this year. He said that Prime Minister Modi will announce the launch soon thereafter. He also said that by the end of July, all the applications related to Ayushman Bharat will be ready.
By July, we'll be ready for testings, and it will take some time for testing so that we stabilize the program.
And after that is the formal launch.
Yes.
Well, you can watch the entire interview on Wednesday, 10 p.m. on Rajya Sabha Television's program To The Point. And let's get you some international news now. Russia has vowed to respond with the principle of reciprocity to some countries' decision to expel Russian diplomats. The US and its European allies are expelling dozens of Russian officials in a coordinated response to the poisoning of a former Russian spy in the UK. It is said to be the largest collective expulsion of Russian diplomats in history. More than 20 countries have aligned with the UK, expelling more than 100 diplomats. And earlier this month, the UK announced that it was expelling 23 Russian diplomats. The Russian Foreign Ministry said that the move demonstrates a continuation of a confrontational path and that the ministry would submit proposed retaliatory measures to Vladimir Putin for consideration. Russia denies any role in the attack on Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia in Salisbury in southern England. The pair remain in a critical but stable condition in hospital.
But what we're saying today, what the world is saying today, is that this pattern of behaviour has become unacceptable. It manifests itself across the globe, from Syria to Salisbury. And people have had enough of it. And that's why I think you've had this very, very powerful global statement today.
Seeing an increasingly
move of bad judgment by Russia. And when we see these espionage tactics that are taking place right here at the heart of the UN, we can't have that. And this is really not just us, but multiple countries saying all of these actions have to stop.
And now let's get you some more international news in World Wrap. The first day of voting in Egypt's presidential election came to an end on Monday, with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi widely expected to win. Polls are closed at 9 p.m. local time, but there are 2 more days for Egyptians to cast their votes. Sisi has urged Egyptians to vote, while the opposition figures have called for a boycott. The president's sole challenger is Musa Mustafa Moussa, a Sisi supporter widely seen as a dummy candidate. China on Monday lashed out at what it called was U.S. economic intimidation following President Donald Trump's announcement of new import tariffs, but said it was open to negotiations to resolve trade frictions. The 2 countries have traded threats in recent days, ratcheting up fears that the world's 2 biggest economies are heading towards a damaging trade war. Donald Trump said last Thursday that the U.S. would impose new tariffs on some $60 billion of Chinese imports over the theft of intellectual property. Beijing also vowed retaliatory action. The leading U.S. consumer protection regulator and attorneys representing 37 states stepped up pressure on Facebook Inc. on Monday. They wrote to Facebook to explain how the social network allowed data of 50 million users get into the hands of political consultancy Cambridge Analytica. Meanwhile, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission also announced that it had opened an investigation into the company, which it generally also only does in cases of great public interest. Now, following the move, Facebook shares briefly dipped below $150 on Monday for the first time since July 2017. And Russian investigators say there was no alarm and exits were blocked when a fire engulfed a shopping and entertainment mall in Siberia, killing at least 64 people. Russia's investigative committee spoke of blocked exits and serious violations at the Winter Cherry Mall. President Vladimir Putin said that the fire was caused by criminal negligence. Sunday's blaze started on an upper floor of the mall. Many of the victims in the city of Kemerovo were children, and 10 people are still listed as missing. On to some sporting action now. Ace Indian shooters Manu Bhaker and Anmol secured India's 7th gold medal in the ISSF Junior World Cup at Sydney. Both Bhaker and Anmol have won the medal in the mixed 10 meters air pistol event. They entered the final with the highest qualification score and a new junior qualification world record as well. And early on Monday, Ace Indian shooter Anish Bhanwala secured India a 3rd individual gold medal at the tournament. Bhanwala finished atop the podium in the men's 25 meters rapid fire pistol. And having qualified for the final with the highest score, Bhanwala prevailed over 2 of his Indian teammates and also 3 Chinese participants in the medal round. India are now placed 2nd in the overall standings with the 17 medals, including 7 gold. And the bronze medal was awarded to another Indian team comprising Sandhu, Japtesh Singh, Jaspal and Mandeep Singh. And on to cricket news. A suspended Australian skipper Steve Smith on Monday stepped down as the Rajasthan Royals captain in the fallout of the ball tampering scandal. Smith has already been suspended by the ICC for 1 test match. Now, India's test vice captain Ajinkya Rahane has been named as the new skipper of Rajasthan Royals, and another IPL franchise, Sunrisers Hyderabad, has also said that it would wait for Cricket Australia's decision on Sunrisers captain David Warner, who is also embroiled in a ball tampering controversy. The upcoming 11th edition of the IPL will start from the 7th of this next month. And in a statement released late on Monday, Cricket Australia chief James Sutherland said that he would meet with the head of Integrity Department to be briefed on the investigation that was being conducted with the team in the Cape Town. Well, there is a high degree of possibility that the tainted skipper, along with his deputy David Warner, might face harsh sanctions from Cricket Australia once the investigations get over on Wednesday. Many former players have also joined in the criticism of Australian cricket team, saying that it will be very difficult for the captain, Steve Smith, to keep his job following the ball tampering scandal.
I think it's going to be a challenge for them to keep their jobs, unfortunately. And I think just, an admission of cheating, is a pretty serious offence. And, from what we're hearing and reading from Cricket Australia, Cricket Australia are bitterly disappointed, and they're going to be, they're flying officials over to South Africa to speak to the players and whatnot, and the coaches. So, they're taking this very seriously, and they're pretty upset about it and pretty annoyed. So, I think the general feeling is that it's going to be very difficult for Steve Smith to keep his job as captain.
If it was the leadership group that hatched this plot, well, you've got to assume that the next potential leader is amongst that leadership group.
And countries across the globe are marking the World Theatre Day today. It was initiated in 1961 by the International Theatre Institute, a UNESCO-affiliated organization. Well, this day celebrates the importance of theatre arts as it continues to entertain, teach and change us. So we leave you with some of these memorable acts. Thanks so much for watching.